Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you may be watching this. Thank you for joining and welcome to another episode of Coffee and Conversation. Before we get started, I would like to take a quick moment to say thank you to everyone who's been watching and subscribing, whether you were here day one or you're just joining the journey. Your support truly means the world. This channel was created so we could heal together, and your presence here shows we're doing just that. I also want to remind you, the comment section here is a safe space, and I encourage you to share your thoughts, your experiences, or even your reflections. But if you'd rather reach out privately, or if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss and you want to submit it anonymously, my email will be in the description section. Sometimes we just need to say things out loud, even if it's just to one person, because we are not alone. So many of us are healing from the same wounds. We just express them differently. And why should we struggle or suffer alone when we can all heal together? Now, let's get into today's topic. The hidden truth about triggers. Have you ever noticed how quickly you can go from calm to heated? Or how someone's words, even if they're small, can lead to an explosion inside you? That's not just anger, that's a triggered response. And triggers are usually connected to an old wound that never healed, and not because you didn't want to heal it, but because survival mode had convinced you that it's just a part of your personality. Anger often becomes our bodyguard. It's the emotion that says, I'm not letting anyone hurt me like that again. But here's the thing, when we don't face what's under the anger, sadness, rejection, anxiety, depression, the feeling of not being heard or respected, that emotion doesn't disappear, it waits, it hides, and it shows up later as an explosive reaction or emotional meltdown when touched just the right way. Now, let's take this a step deeper, because healing isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. Unhealed wounds are gateways, open doors that allow certain energies or spirits to influence how we respond. For those who are spiritual or who grew up in the church, then you know the Bible scripture, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Our open wounds are like beacons inviting these principalities to come and make a home within our hearts. For example, if your wound is not feeling good enough, that's an open door for the spirit of jealousy or envy. Someone else's confidence triggers your wound, and suddenly you feel anger, irritation, or comparison when you're around that person. But the real issue isn't them. It's the unhealed part of you that still believes the lie that you're not enough. Healing those wounds closes spiritual doors. It closes the ability for that to affect you in any way. And it's not about perfection, it's about awareness. Once you can name the wound, you can stop that energy attached to it from running your life and running your emotions. There's a podcast here on this platform that I love to listen to, and it's ran by a Dr. Tracy Marks. And in one episode, I heard her say, healing happens through repetition of safety, not through forced change. And I absolutely love this, because so often we think changes have to happen the same day we decide to take the step, when the truth is, it takes time. And it takes us being very intentional with our responses instead of allowing our emotions to react. I used to be known for putting people in their place, but what people didn't see was how long I held it in before I snapped. That kind of reaction comes from years of not being able to speak up, from being silenced or dismissed as a child. So when someone finally crosses that line, the explosion that was in me, it wasn't about that moment. It was about every moment before it. And the hardest part, some people enjoy pushing others to that point. It's called reactive abuse, when the abuser provokes you intentionally until you react. And then they use your reaction to make you look like the problem. My reactions provided so much entertainment to the people around me, they would tell someone who was trying to provoke them, "Don't make me pull a Hope on you." Now, that's a very sadistic way to acknowledge that they were purposely causing my quote unquote crash outs, and now had the audacity to use them as a measurement for how far over the line someone could push them before they would react in the same way. You'll never get accountability from someone who benefits from your lack of control. They don't want to understand your pain. They want to prove their power. And I've heard grown men brag about their families known to get out of the way when they go off, as if that's strength. But all that means is they've normalized terror. They've confused control with authority, and both are rooted in pain that was never addressed. Becoming intentional about how I responded, even when I knew the person was intentionally trying to get a reaction out of me, helped me change the narrative and take my power back. The more I slowed down and listened not only to what was being said, but who was saying it. Example, a broken, unhealed person who was determined to make me feel as bad as they did. It helped me to go from having to consistently and consciously make the choice not to respond to being so unbothered by them or what they had to say that not responding became a natural response. Here's the truth. Your trigger is not your enemy. It's your teacher. It's pointing to the wound that's asking to be healed. Healing trigger starts with honesty, asking yourself why you react the way you do. Why do I shut down so quickly? Why do I always feel responsible for keeping the peace? Why do I over-explain or overcompensate when I feel misunderstood? Why is anger my first response? Why does another person's confidence bother me? These are questions that don't always feel good, but they're the doorway to awareness, and awareness is where healing begins. It isn't about erasing what happened, but instead retraining our brain and body to feel safe and to develop a different response to the memory. When we start asking, what part of me feels unsafe right now? We replace reacting with retraining our emotional reflexes. That's the real meaning of healing, reclaiming your peace before your pain speaks for you. For me, triggers show up in various ways. They show up in the way I gave. I overextended myself constantly, physically, emotionally, and financially, because somewhere deep down, I was still trying to prove that I was worthy of love, safety, and belonging. I was trying to earn acceptance by over-serving people who never poured back into me. I didn't know how to receive. I only knew how to give, and I would give until there was nothing left of me to give. And when you live like that long enough, something in you snaps and you go from I'll do anything for anybody to I'm done with everybody. And that was me. I started cutting people off faster than the power company. And because being disconnected felt safer than being disappointed. But here's the truth. Disconnection isn't the same as healing. I had mistaken distance for discernment. I thought avoiding pain meant I'd grown past it, when in reality, I was just running from it in a different direction. It took time and a lot of self-reflection to realize that triggers don't always look like anger or tears. Sometimes they do show up as silence or avoidance. Anything that helps us not feel the old wound. Now, I've learned to pause before reacting, to ask myself, is this about them or is this about something in me that still needs attention? I've learned that protecting my peace doesn't require cutting everyone off. It requires clarity. Clarity about who feeds my energy and who drains it. Clarity about which wounds are still bleeding and which ones have finally healed. Triggers are invisible wires that connect our past pain to our present reactions. You might think you're responding to a situation, but most times you're reacting to a memory that never healed. And when that pain gets tapped, it's like stepping on an emotional landmine. It explodes before you even realize it's there. So if you're listening to this and you've been struggling with a short fuse, jealousy, envy, shame, just know that what you're dealing with may very well be a trauma response. Don't shame yourself for the pendulum swings. They're part of the process. Just promise yourself that as you heal, you'll aim for discernment, not defense. Remember, Your triggers aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of where your power was taken and where it's ready to be reclaimed. Face them with grace, heal them with honesty, and protect your peace, but don't isolate it, because you deserve connections that sustain you and not drain you. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to keep the conversation going in the comments below. Or you can reach out by email if you prefer privacy. You're not alone in this. And before you go, check out my Trigger Tracker Journal. It's a digital guide with reflective affirmations designed to help you identify emotional patterns and face your triggers with compassion and intention. You'll find the link in the description. Until next time, take care of your energy, your spirit, and your peace. I'll see you next week.